This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Walker, and my co-host, Kim, is back in the studio today.
You might as well call me a special guest at this point, I think.
Yeah, she's been a little busy lately. That might be an understatement. But yeah, she's back with me today, and I am looking forward to recording this episode about making great first impressions. But first, let me thank our sponsors. Thank you to our friends at RepairPal for providing this episode. RepairPal will help you grow your auto repair business. You can learn more at RepairPal.com/shops. And are you ready to convert clients to members? AppFueled specializes in creating custom tailored apps specifically for auto repair businesses. Build client loyalty. Get started today with your own customer loyalty app. Visit appfueled.com. All right, Kim, I know this is one of your favorite subjects to talk about.
I actually think that in my retirement, I may offer this as a service where people can pay me to fly to their shop. You know, think like secret shopper, but first impression person. I don't know what my title would be, but
people might think, well, I don't need somebody else to come in and tell me this. But I mean, this is truly the old saying about a frog in a pot of boiling water. You know, I mean, you put a frog in a pot of water, and if you turn up the heat on him slowly, and I don't know if there's any scientific fact to this or not, but it's definitely an old saying, you know, that the frog will just stay there in the boiling water. And it's the same thing with your shop. When you're in it every day, day in, day out, there's things that you miss because you just get used to the way that it is, and you can't see it for yourself. And sometimes you need someone else to come in to really show you, you know, what it is that you're not seeing.
You know, I want to just say, for the record, I'm very happy that this never got transferred into Peyton Walker's brain in like 5th grade during science fair project time.
Oh, gosh.
Because this would totally have been one that he would have done. And y'all...
You say that, but he was such a soft-hearted kid, he could never boil a frog.
That's true. I guess today he would do that, but I don't know. Anyway, just saying that, I feel like. And we just found out that he listens to our podcast. So we'll see if he ever texts and says, by the way, I would not have boiled a frog. But yeah, that is a great analogy because I remember a time in our shop when same thing, you know, time passes and I walk in and I'm like, it looks good in here. But then I don't know if you remember this day, I sat down on the floor in I was going to say living room, because our waiting room was like a living room. But I sat down on the floor and I was playing with somebody's kid. And I saw cobwebs under the coffee table. It triggered me and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This place is a nightmare. So yeah, this episode actually was born out of a class that I taught at ASTA in September this past year. And our friend Chris Enright was sitting in the class. I don't know if you even know about this, Brian. Chris was sitting there and he kind of had become almost like my class assistant because anytime something came up, I would say, Chris, will you send that to me in an email? And this was one of those things because the class was all about events, hosting events for your shop. And we went through what it means to plan an event, put on an event, follow up after the event, all of the things. And one of those had to do with cleaning up your shop. And I remember saying, you know, I want to create a first impression checklist. And Chris was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. You should totally do that. And I was like, can you please email me? So I've had an email sitting in my inbox just reminding me to create this. So I finally, on a flight recently, I pulled out my remarkable notebook for those who are watching on video. Here it is. Love this thing. That could be a podcast by itself. Anyways, that's another topic. But I started brainstorming, brain dumping the whole first impression situation. And I thought about it from a customer journey perspective, from people looking at you online to making the phone call, to driving past your shop, to pulling in, to opening the door, the whole thing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yep. And we are going to turn this into a checklist. So yes. Check the show notes. There should be a link in there for it.
Okay. You literally just essentially put that
I
out
did.
there as like a deadline.
Well, it is
We
what it is.
had a conversation, y'all, just before this. And he said, so is there a checklist? I said, no, it's not ready yet. I said, so we can just say there will be one coming. And
Yeah,
that's
but you
what
see,
were
I just
supposed
said
to
it
say.
live in the podcast.
You did
So
not follow directions.
Now it has to get done. There will be a link in the show notes for the checklist, y'all.
Keep in mind that our art director, Loretta, is on maternity leave. Yeah, we'll get it done because Brian just said it will be done. So let's carry on. All right. So when I thought about this, when I was brainstorming, I thought about it, like I just said, for the customer journey. So in my mind, I was thinking, how are people going to first experience you? Probably online. Do you agree, Brian? Do you think that that's...
Yeah, it could be your website, Facebook ad. I mean, it might be something else, a billboard or, somebody, a current client recommending you or something like that. But even then, if a current client recommends someone, that person's probably going to go to the website and they'll probably end up at your Google business profile before they do your website.
So I'm really also looking at this from things you can control. You can't control what other people are saying about you, but you can control, for the most part, things like what your billboard looks like or all these other things. So thinking about that first impression from the website. I know several years ago when Brian and I were StoryBrand certified guides, I remember Donald Miller telling us, and what's he called? The Grunt Test or something? I don't remember what he called it, but he was
the Grunt Test.
Bring your laptop to the coffee shop.
Well, you got to explain what the Grunt Test is, though. The Grunt Test is that...
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, go ahead.
But no, now you got me nervous, so I don't know if I was saying it right.
She wasn't, y'all. Look, there's going to be some domestics today. The Grunt Test is that a caveman should be able to look at your website or whatever it is, and they should grunt a couple of times to acknowledge, I understand what this is about.
Yeah, I was definitely not talking about cavemen. And the fact that we're talking about cavemen looking at websites just is a complete oxymoron and blows my mind.
Y'all, what I just heard, and this is like documented for the entire world, was her saying, Brian, you're right. That's what I just heard.
So, Donald Miller said, bring your computer to the coffee shop, put your website on there, and just ask some random person that you don't know. Tell them, I want you to look at my website and tell me if you know what I do. And so, same kind of thing is you could give your website to a complete stranger and say, what's your first impression of this? Like, is your website sending the message you want it to send? And give them permission to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, I come to websites sometimes and want to vomit a little bit in my mouth. I'm like, this is not good. This is not, and it might look like a good website. It might actually look good, but the pictures that are on there are not sending a good message. So we can talk for a long time about this, but what is your website saying? What's the first impression that your website is giving to that potential client who comes in? Honestly, my hope is that somebody's listening right now and going, oh my God, my website's garbage. And it's not sending the message.
What Kim was saying too, with, opening it up and showing it to a stranger and saying, do you know what I do? I mean, most of the time with an auto repair shop website, unless you just really, really miss the mark, you're going to understand, okay, that's an auto repair website. But we also are big on getting the right type of client and getting the right message in front of the right person that's going to lead to the right person walking through the door of your shop. So what she said about what is the impression that you get of this, like, who is your website speaking to? Is it speaking to that person who really doesn't have the funds to be able to fix their car? Is it speaking to the person who is still driving the 83 Cutlass? And I'm not talking about the nice restored one. I'm talking about the old beater. Is it speaking to them? Or is it speaking to that person that's driving the 2001 Accord that wants to keep that car for the next 10 years, and they will do whatever it takes to keep that car in top condition? So those are the kinds of things that you need to think about with that first impression that you're making.
Yeah. I would even ask this stranger, I think the real question is, how does my website make you feel? Do you look at this website and immediately get a feeling of trust? Do you like what you're seeing? I think that's probably the real question.
Yeah.
So that's the website. And we have a lot of things to go through
we talk about marketing, but we're not going to talk just about the traditional marketing. We're going to talk about what people see when they get into your shop, what the conversations are that you're having and all of that. So, it's not just about, you need a new website, come buy one from us. That's not what we're doing
right now. We're just talking about the online first impression, because again, we're going through the customer journey, and probably the first thing that's going to happen is they hear about you, or they Google, or they see an ad. They're going to look at your website. Then they're probably going to go look at your social media. Like, let's see, who are these people? And they're going to go look for you on either Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So again, same thing as your website. What is your social saying to them? What feeling are these potential clients getting from engaging with you or not engaging with you on social media? So whether you try to put yourself in that potential client first impression, or you share it with a friend, a family member, whatever, you want to kind of give yourself like a little report card, a little analysis on what is my social media saying and what feeling is it evoking.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not always a case of people will go look at your social media, which they will. But the idea too of social media is putting something in front of someone who never knew who you were to begin with. So you create these social media posts, especially if you put some money behind them, you're putting that in front of people who have not experienced you yet. And what is that impression going to give them? And I'll give you the example. And there's not a right or a wrong answer. It's what is the impression that you want to give to people? Because I have a client right now, been working with them for, 5 years or so. And it's a Euro shop. And they did some YouTube videos. These YouTube videos were done in a style of like a reality show almost. And they were being pretty crude in some of the videos. I asked him, I said, hey, are you okay with that, being possible the first impression? And he was like, yeah, I don't want a bunch of prudes coming in. Like, if that's going to offend somebody, then, there's other shops that they can go to. So he was perfectly okay with that. Whereas there are other people, at my shop, I would probably never do that. And I don't have a problem in the world that he did it. It's just that we have different things that we're looking for and different things that we want to be known for. And honestly, look, I was cracking up laughing watching the videos. It's just that that's not the first impression that I would want to give, whereas he was perfectly okay with that. So you have to think about that. What is the impression that you want to give?
Yeah. So take that thought into pretty much everything that we're going to talk about going forward, because that's what we're really talking about here is as the customer experiences you for the first time at every step of the customer journey, how are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are they going to say about you? So the next one, it's also pretty straightforward, just like the others that we just talked about, but the Google business profile, again, they're going to come across, if they Google you or if they go search, there it is. Your Google business profile is going to be right there. Is it incomplete? Does it have, oh my God, I'm going to get on a complete rampage right here because I cannot even count how many times in the last week that I have gone to Google and found a Google business profile that I was looking for information and it was incomplete or just terrible. And I am one of those that will go look at reviews. I will go look and see what are people saying about this business. So absolutely, do you own your Google business profile? Is it updated with accurate, correct information? Do you have pictures on there? Again, personally, I love to look and see where's this place that I'm going. We travel a lot. Most people know that. And so when I'm traveling, this is probably going to cause Brian to go off on one of his own little rampages. A vet. We very often need a vet when we're on. Look, we have a Cocker Spaniel, and that's all I need to say about that. So we've had to look for a vet and also in a hurry. And I could see potential customers looking for an auto repair shop in a hurry. They might be broken down on the side of the road. And so they're looking at your Google business profile. They're looking for reviews. They're looking for a good phone number. In the hours, I very often will filter on the Google map, open now. And so just make sure that your Google business profile is claimed, updated, accurate, has all of the things that your potential customer would want to have.
And photos too. We have our Facebook group, the Auto Repair Marketing Mastermind, which this will be the obligatory plug for that. Go join if you're not in there. Auto Repair Marketing Mastermind on Facebook. But We have people that are posting pictures in there quite often about the renovations that they're doing to their waiting areas and things like that. Well, if your waiting area used to not be so nice or it was outdated and you go in and you do, a big update to it, you want new photos of that so that people get the impression that you're trying to make. Did you go update your photos? You can have photos on there that are uploaded by you or by clients or whatever. You never know when you've got the photos that somebody took of the dirty bathroom and put it up there. It's like, oh my gosh, go bury those things with some good photos of what it looks like now. So pay attention to that.
All right. The next one, we're still in the online section, even though this kind of isn't online, but maybe it comes from online, where they click or tap to call. And I'm certain we have talked about this 842 times. Or is it 824 times?
It was one of those two for sure. Exactly that number.
It's a big deal because we have experienced this personally, but also from hearing ad calls and all of this. Y'all, I really want to beat my table right now, my desk. I want to beat it. Brian would kill me if I did that because it would come through the sound. But please listen to your phone call. Look, listen to your phone calls.
And that doesn't mean go stand up there by your service advisor while they are on a phone call and listen to what they're saying, because they talk differently when you're standing up there than they do when you're not. And that's a fact.
Sure. That toggle button went on with your presence. So whether you're pretending, and for God's sakes, don't call from your cell phone. Okay, call from a different phone. Get somebody else to call. Or better yet, if you're running ads, this is very easy. If you're one of our clients, it's right there. We're begging you to listen to them. So look, educate yourself on what your service advisors are saying, but also just how are they answering the phone? I can't tell you how many times I've heard coaches say, they said this to us when we were shop owners and we had a coach, is smile when you answer the phone. Like have a smile on your face when you answer the phone. How many times are potential clients calling and they're getting grumpalopicus on the phone? Is that the word? Grump, whatever.
I don't know what that word is.
They're getting a grump answering the phone and maybe not even saying your shop name, let alone saying their name. And I remember that we used to say, and this came from a coach, instead of saying, good afternoon, Peak Automotive, this is Kim, how can I help you? I would say, good afternoon, Peak Automotive, this is Kim, I can help you. I'm here to help you or something like that. Yeah, the phone call. And look, that's like maybe the most significant first impression because you already passed the test online, on the website, on the social media, on Google Business Profile. And they said, okay, I like what I'm seeing. Now I'm going to talk to them. And they get someone's voice who's hurried, who's rushed, who's disinterested, who's preoccupied and distracted or angry. They're having a bad day, whatever it might be. Brian and I were just standing in our kitchen a few minutes ago talking about this podcast, and my sister is here from Georgia. I begged her to get on and do the podcast with us, but she refused. I don't know. People are so scared. She's so wimpy. But we were talking about the first impression, and I was going through this checklist, and I was asking her, like, did I miss anything? You're a shop owner customer. And she was telling us about, I'm probably getting too far ahead now.
I don't know where she was going, but she's not a shop owner customer. She's just a customer of an auto repair shop. And also, I'm sorry, while I'm correcting her, what she meant to say earlier, and she totally just stopped in the middle of it, is if you are running Google Ads or if you are a client, then your calls have been recorded and you can go listen to those recordings. So like if you're working with a marketing company and they are doing Google Ads especially for you, then there's probably recordings of the phone calls and you can just go sit down and spot check them. And sometimes you can just ask them. And, you know, if you're working with us and your service advisor is really bad, we're just going to say, hey, your service advisor is really, or actually what we'll probably do is send you a few phone calls and say, hey, listen to these phone calls. And we'll just leave it at that. I want to thank our friends at RepairPal for making this episode possible. They're on a mission to put trust back in auto repair. You're an honest shop that delivers high quality work and great service, right? Well, millions of consumers looking for mid to major mechanical repair
Look for shops like yours in the RepairPal Trusted Network. Contact them to get certified today and receive 1 month free service at RepairPal.com/shops. Being in the RepairPal Certified Network helped us grow our shop's business, and it can help yours too with new customers and a higher ARO. Plus, you don't have to worry anymore about arguing with customers over price because shops in the RepairPal Certified Network are trusted by consumers for being fair priced. Not low priced, fair priced. You have to be in it to win it. So head over to RepairPal.com/shops to learn more and set up a call. When you sign up, you'll get 1 month of service free and save $150 off certification.
Independent auto repair shops, get ready to transform your business with AppFueled. It's time for your professional auto service shop to have its own customer loyalty app. AppFueled will build an app that launches a custom loyalty program for your shop in 30 days or less, fully integrated with your point of sale system. Bring Fortune 500 level customer retention strategies to your business without the Fortune 500 budget. Many shops are enjoying the benefits. Our app engages your customers with a loyalty ladder, enticing them to climb the next rung, coming back more often and spending more each visit, all with your own app. Build loyalty with your customers to your brand and boost your shop's growth. Get your first app in 30 days or less, all without breaking the bank. Ready to start? Let AppFueled take your business to the next level. Go to appfueled.com or meet founder Jeremy Glasgow and book your complimentary app vision session at appfueled.com/Jeremy. That's appfueled.com/Jeremy.
So we were talking to my sister and filling in, kind of going over these checklist items, and she went on her own little rant session about an experience that she had at a shop. And it was literally walking in and not having a good experience just from the first impression feeling of, do they even see me standing here? So I should have waited to tell you that, because that's really kind of coming. It's not really with the phone call, but.
Well, her sister's like a CIA agent.
Oh my God.
She's not a CIA agent, okay? So I can say this, but
I need rum
let's just
in
say,
this protein drink.
Let's just say that I can't say what it is that she does, but it's really, really similar to if she were like a CIA agent. Kim, I wish that you were watching this on video, because she's losing her mind that I'm actually saying this right now, but I'm not lying. And her tires got slashed. And
those things have nothing to do with each other, though.
But they do.
You're making it sound like her tires got slashed because of her job. No, her tires got slashed because she was in Houston in a rough area. Anyway, carry on.
I mean, I'm just saying that, like, she had an adversary. So whether or not those tires got slashed by, just some people who were walking by and said, hey, let's slash these tires, or somebody who would have had an actual reason to slash her tires got slashed. And she needed to get them replaced. And she shows up to a shop and she's standing there and like nobody is even recognizing that she's there. And like how many times, and I'm not talking about an auto repair, but just in general, in some other type of business, how many times does that happen to you, Kim? You show up, you're standing there and people don't even recognize that you exist.
The problem is I am not quiet and proper like my sister. And so if they get my head tingling, I'm now furious. And they probably don't want me as a customer, but like, it's just rude. Like, do you want a customer or not? Like, say hi. And I know I'm from the South and we like do things differently with regard to like, the whole hospitality thing. And maybe we take it overboard, but can you just be nice and say hi to someone and welcome them? So that's how it should be on the phone call. Like, what is being said? What's the tone? That's a big thing. You can send a feeling of, I don't have time for you right now. Mm-hmm. The rushed feeling. From there, and maybe this actually comes before the phone call, but it could be phone call or this. Some people are not going to call, but instead their first impression with you is going to be either filling out a form on your website, requesting an appointment, or it could be that you have one of the awesome schedulers and they're actually scheduling the appointment with you. Did you take the time to create the scheduler with your customer user experience in mind?
Look, you don't even have to create the scheduler. Just go to AutoOps and get the darn scheduler. Get it from AutoOps. It's the best one out there. And the user experience is going to be great. And no, they're not sponsors, but as marketers, we appreciate the heck out of the tool that they have built because it allows us as marketers to see what is happening. And that doesn't matter if you're a multi-location shop, a single location shop. It doesn't matter, how we want to set it up, whether it's with UTM code or, through, Google Analytics or what. Like, they have thought about the marketer, but not only have they thought about the marketer, they've thought about the end user who is going and using that tool, and it's a beautiful experience. We used to just set up websites, and we still do it now for people that just won't get the scheduler, but we would set up websites with a simple form for people to fill out. Filling out the form itself is not a poor experience, but when they fill out the form and they can't get in on the day that they requested because that form's not in any way connected to your actual live schedule, that's a poor experience. I mean, this is one of those things that's too cheap not to be using. Just go get auto ops.
All right. So that's the online first impression. Okay. Some things that hopefully, as you're listening to this podcast, maybe you have a little notepad going and you're making some notes about some first impressions you need to pay attention to and work on improving. The next one, big pet peeve of mine also, people are listening and going, Kim has a lot of pet peeves. Probably I do. The drive-by. Just like we were talking about earlier, you're in your shop every day. You drive up to your shop every single day. So you don't have fresh eyes on it. I would like for you to try to refresh your perspective and do your own drive-by with fresh eyes, but also send someone that you know to do that for you. Like, get someone outside of your shop who's coming every day and give them a checklist or the checklist that you're going to download from our show notes that we're going to have ready for that time. Look at the drive-by. Here are some things to consider with the drive-by. I'm just kind of go through them because they're pretty self-explanatory. We don't need to dig into each one of these, but the drive-by is the parking lot. What does the parking lot look like? Somebody just rolled their eyes. I'm pretty sure I saw it and felt it. Because you've known this, you don't need to drive by. You know what your parking lot looks like. You're probably driving in as the shop owner, frustrated with yourself because you have project cars in there. You know who you are. You have old customer cars in there that have abandoned the vehicle, or they maybe gave it to you. Y'all know all the things. But the parking lot, how many cars are in the parking lot? You want your business to look busy. Like when Brian and I are looking for a restaurant and we drive by, there's no cars there. I'm like, 1, are they open? 2, maybe they're open, but they're terrible. You want some cars to be in there, but you also want some space. You want people to feel like there's a spot for them. And so think about the number of vehicles, but also the type of vehicles. If you're a European shop and you have a bunch of old project cars sitting around or whatever, and it doesn't relate to your potential customer, that's a problem. If you're a general repair shop and you have a bunch of old classic restoration vehicles in the park, whatever, just are the vehicles in the parking lot aligned with the customer you want? So think about the parking lot, the vehicles that are there. Landscaping. I'm not saying that you need to hire this fancy landscaper and spend a ton of money. But does the landscaping at the shop match, again, the client that you are trying to draw in? Signage. How many times, Brian, have we seen a sign where the lights were out and it created a whole different word, or, it was
my favorite one to this day, we have a scrapyard by us. The sign said Florida Parishes, we buy scrap. And the S had fallen off of it, and it said Florida Parishes, we buy crap, and it just cracked me up. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of fitting, but yeah. So does your sign work? Do you have a sign? Is your sign old and outdated?
Is the logo that's on the sign the one that you're using everywhere else? Because some people update their logo, and it's like, man, that sign's expensive to update, and they don't update it. You got this one old logo hanging out there.
Yeah.
Is it up to date?
How about the cleanliness and the organization of the outside, the exterior, the parking lot, everything outside? And then your windows, the doors. How many fingerprints are there? Do you still have the grass that was cut that's all stuck to the windows? Are they just, what do they look like? Is it open, friendly? Does it look like you're open? Do you have tint on there that's halfway there, halfway not, whatever it might be?
Two very quick stories. Back when I owned my shop, me and my lead technician at the time, we drove over to another shop because that shop needed some help with a car that was over there. We drive over there, and when we get there, we had been there before, but my old tech, Joe Pioita, he cracked me up when he did this. We're standing there talking to the guy, and Joe looks around at all of the old cars there. And it was primarily a Mercedes shop, and there were like all of these old 123s, 108s, all that stuff just sitting around. And Joe looks around and says, wow, this is where they come to die. And it cracked me up because it was so true. That was where they came to die. And then it was last year, I think it might have been 2023. We were in Raleigh for ASTA, and Kim and I drove by our old shop. And, you know, on one hand, I hope they're not listening. On the other hand, I hope they are listening, because our shop, it gave a great impression when you pulled up. But we went there, and this place needed a pressure washing so bad. And that's the kind of thing, that's the frog in the pot of boiling water that you don't recognize. You know, you might see that, oh, we have the right kind of cars parked outside and everything, but do you see the green crap that's just growing on the side of your shop? And it was all over, and the landscaping and everything looked real bad. And it was like, wow, this is not the shop that we used to run. So it matters because people see that when they pull up.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, y'all. So we're going to move on from the exterior to the feeling, the perception, the waiting area. When people walk in, what feeling? We talked earlier about like your website. What feeling does it send to people? And so I want to just dig into that a little bit deeper. So when they walk in, when we think about feelings, I want you to think about your senses, right? What they see, smell, the touch, all of that, right? So keep that in mind as we're talking about this. But what is that immediate feeling? What are the thoughts that come into someone's mind when they walk in? Is there something that triggers them? And when I say trigger, I don't mean like how people are using trigger. I'm triggered. But I know that you're an auto repair shop, but it doesn't have to smell like an auto repair shop. And that's hard for me to say when it's a tire shop. Like I expect to kind of walk into a tire shop and smell tires, but it is not a pleasant smell. And there are ways to have a tire shop and not smell like tires, or that dirty oil, just that oily, nasty, dirty smell.
And so look, you can't smell it anymore.
Right.
You don't smell it. So you have to ask someone else, how does it smell? It's just like our house. We've got our dogs, and Kim is always like, we have our small group that meets at our house on Wednesday nights, and Kim will always be like, hey, does my house smell like dogs? And I know it's got to smell like it a little bit, but I can tell you, we can't smell it. Or if you're a smoker, you can't smell the smoke in your house. But if you're not a smoker and you walk into someone's house who smokes and you leave, you can't wait to get home to take a shower because you have to get that smoke smell off of you. When you are in it every day, you can't smell it. So don't walk into your shop and say, hey, does it smell, let me sniff and see, does it smell like tires or oil? Because you can't smell it. You just can't.
Well, and the smoke thing, like, look, I'm a believer in freedom, do what you want to do, but we visit shops a lot when we're on the road. And we've been in shops where you walk into the lobby and I smell smoke. And it is just not a good first impression.
Yeah.
So what are you allowing from your team members in there? So even think about that. Like, what's someone hearing? Do you have awful music playing? Or are you playing a podcast that, look, truthfully, even I probably listen to Andy Frisella, but if you got Andy Frisella's podcast dropping in the lobby of your, somebody's listening to it and they're hearing stuff that I don't know that you want them to hear. So just think about all that. The other thing people do, maybe I should just say the other things I do. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that does this, but I don't think so. When I walk in and experience a place for the first time, I instantly start comparing it to other places like that. Chick-fil-A, for example. Chick-fil-A has put out there, this is our standard. This is what you should be experiencing. And so when I go to a Chick-fil-A and I don't experience what I think I should be experiencing, I'm like, that doesn't happen at my Chick-fil-A in my town. Like, what comparisons are people maybe conjuring up in their mind. And, if you're an independent, they're probably comparing you to the dealership experience.
Yeah. Kim and I, we're going to do a podcast about this very soon, but we were just on a cruise over Christmas. And look, there was nothing major wrong with that cruise, but there were little things that constantly had us comparing Norwegian, which that was the cruise that we were just on, a Norwegian cruise. We were constantly comparing Norwegian to Disney cruise, which that's a totally unfair comparison, but we were still making the comparison, and celebrity. It was all because of very little things. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to do a podcast episode about that. But
I almost think Brian should do the podcast and then I should do the podcast and then we should come together. It's like the Newlywed Game show on these cruise ships where we see if our answers are the same. That would be kind of funny because
we know they'd be the same because I think they would because we sat there talking about it the whole time, But anyway, my point is it's very little things that will cause people to start comparing.
It's the fine details. It's the small details. They matter, is essentially what we're saying. So when they're in that waiting area, is it feeling warm and welcome? And look, I'm not talking about the temperature because it is very cold in Louisiana today, like very cold. Probably not for some of y'all, but very cold. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the feeling, am I welcome here? Like we were talking about with my sister earlier. She said she stood there for a long time before, and they were staff members right there in her presence who never acknowledged her. That is not a warm and welcoming experience.
There's constant talk in the groups about how much people hate having waiters. Can your people who are waiting sense that you hate having waiters?
Oh, that's good.
That is not what you want, is for that. It's okay that you don't like having waiters. Nobody likes having waiters. You just don't. It's one of those things that we deal with in the industry. But if your client can sense that you don't want them there, man, that's bad.
Mm-hmm. That's going to show up in a review quick. It's definitely going to show up. Are kids welcome? Are you frustrated by the kids? Look, because in today's age, I don't know that you can get around that. So if you don't like kids waiting, all the more reason to accommodate them. Because if you have a little kids area with some toys, a little bucket of toys, that's going to keep them busy. That's going to keep them preoccupied. So just think about if kids are not welcome, guess what? Mom doesn't feel welcome either. If that were me and I went in and people were giving me looks about my kid or, whatever, I'm not talking about really unruly kids, okay? We're talking about just average kids coming in. I'm not coming back. I get that feeling. I know we went to a restaurant actually with Andrew Minkler for the Army-Navy game. And this was a very nice Italian restaurant in the Washington, D.C. area. We were just there in December and they were so accommodating to his 3-year-old, who's great. I mean, he was very well behaved, super cute kid, but it was 7, 8 o'clock at night and they were clearly happy to have him there. So What about snacks or treats? Or if you're going to have waiters, give them a good experience. Again, Brian just said this. We know lots of shops who are I don't have we do not do waiters. Fine, great, good. But if you are going to have waiters, then accommodate them. It is not expensive. We used to run to Sam's Club every 2 weeks or so, and we'd buy a bunch of snacks and put them in there. And it just made a huge difference. Yep. What about the windows, the counters, the floors?
We've talked about this before, but go sit down where your clients sit down. Is it comfortable? You don't want, if what we just talked about with waiters, you either have waiters or you don't. And if you have waiters, then be grateful for those waiters and make them feel very comfortable there. I've had shop owners say to me, we put hard plastic seats in our waiting area because we don't want people waiting. No, all that you're doing is giving them a poor experience. Mm-hmm. If you're going to allow waiters at all, make for a very comfortable, very clean, very accommodating area. And if you don't want the waiters, then don't have waiters. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And whose responsibility is it to clean? Whose job? That task falls literally under which employee? Who?
Hire a company.
Well, that's
just
where I'm going.
Hire a company to do it.
That is,
and hire one to do your home while you're at it.
Yeah, well, that's probably a whole nother conversation. But seriously, have someone come in once a week, once every other week, whatever it might be, to do that deep cleaning again on a visit with one of our clients. a couple years ago, walk in there, y'all, I went to use the bathroom, not because I was doing a first impression checklist, because I needed to use the restroom. And I go in there, y'all, I walked in and I stood in one spot. I literally went into the bathroom and I stood there. And I'm like, I don't want to touch anything. I literally like waited a minute, like to pretend that I turned the water on with a paper towel and then, flushed the toilet with the paper towel and it came, but I was like, oh my God, that was horrendous. Give me 5 minutes in there and I would have made 800% difference in that restroom. And this was not like the team restroom in the shop in the back corner. This was the front lobby, customer facing restroom.
Well, in the lobby was pretty rough too.
Well, yeah, right. It definitely was. So speaking of the bathroom, just the cleanliness, again, I don't mean bathroom smells, but like just, does it stink in there? Is it fresh and clean in there? Some people are super picky about the candle scent or the air freshener scent. Like, do you have some aggressive smell, whether it's from a candle, like just, is it something pleasant? Even if it's just the smell of Lysol, I don't care. But like, is it clean? Does it smell not necessarily good, but just does it smell fine? Is it good? Do you have a changing station? Lots of people don't think about that anymore. Well, people have to change their kids. This was a simple buy. I think that we spent $100 on this thing, and I can't tell you the number of people who were.
It was more than that, but
was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a one-time easy purchase. Put that in there. We had so many people that talked about how much they appreciated us having in there. The other thing, and I'm going to go here. So for all you guys, just listen up. The Lord just made us this way, but females have different needs. We used to buy female products, and we would have them in a nice, cute little canister that just sat. And here's the thing. Men don't have a freaking clue what that is. They walk into the bathroom and they don't know. But women go in the bathroom and they need something. They know what that cute little canister is with the little lid. Open that up.
I saw that canister for probably a year before one day I opened it. And it was like, oh, okay. I had no idea. Not a clue.
When you need it, you need it. You don't always have it in your purse or your pocket or whatever. And so it's just one of those fine details that's thoughtful and considerate and shocking. No lady probably ever told Brian, hey, thank you for the tampons. But they sure told me. And so think about those. Soap, lotion, napkins. I forget where I was, and it was a shop recently, like within the last 3 or 4 months. They literally had, I'm not even joking, like washcloths, like really nice little washcloths that were folded in a basket. And then they had a basket under the counter for the used washcloths. And they just had a big stack of them. And I'm guessing every couple of days they just wash new washcloths. It was almost like a Ritz-Carlton. So I'm like, wow, that is a nice touch. So,
I mean, that's awesome.
That's extra.
That is definitely extra. But not long ago, I just did an episode on having a concierge auto repair shop.
Exactly.
Like if you're going to have a concierge shop, then definitely do stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You can never make too good of an impression.
Definitely. Yep. Toilet paper. How often is that being checked? Are you running out? Do you have a stack over there? Whatever.
Is it high quality?
Oh my God. None of that's John Wayne toilet paper. That's what my daddy used to say. It won't take crap off anybody. I just said that publicly, didn't I? Did I embarrass you?
Nope. Because I was going there if you didn't.
Oh, man. And then, I mean, you don't need artwork, but, just is it a nice place? Whether it's your lobby, the bathroom, whatever, all of the customer-facing areas, do you have something nice in there to just make it feel like a nice place? And then the last area we're really going to talk about, and I don't know how much clients really go in this area, but lots of shops have the window from the lobby where they can look into the shop. So maybe it's not that they're going into the shop, but the shop area.
It's the last area that we're going to talk about, but it's not the last thing that we're going to talk about. This episode's a little bit long, but stick with us. All right. So the shop area, bright lights, and look, do that for your technicians first and foremost, but, make it a bright, clean, organized area. If you have a floor that will actually clean up good, invest in, we always called it the Zamboni, the floor cleaner. We were just at Lucas Underwood's shop just a couple of months ago, not even 2 months ago now. We were shooting a video for ourselves, and you'll see that coming out pretty soon. But every time that a car left, one of the guys brought the Zamboni over there and cleaned the bay. The bays were getting cleaned between every car. And it's not only great for the client, but it's great for your staff. You want to take pride in your shop. You want them to take pride in the shop. And you want to create that great area for them to work. It should be organized. Like there's a system for organization and everything that you can use. I wish I could think of it so that I could go there. But anyway, and the layout of the shop should definitely be efficient. It shouldn't be something where you have to, back up and pull forward 3 times to get onto a lift. Although I know you're working with the space that you have, and sometimes, that is unavoidable. And if that's the case, that's fine. But it can at least still be clean. One of the things that we talk about a lot is hosting events at your shop. And when I say that, I'm not talking about up in the waiting area, or not just up in the waiting area, but actually out in the shop area. And, if your shop area is not clean enough, or if it's not something that within a couple of hours it could be clean enough to host an event inside of, then that would be goals, to get to that point. The last thing, that I really want to talk about is really the interaction itself with the client. I probably should have talked about this up front, but what are the conversations that you're having with new clients? When a new client comes in, do you find out what are their goals for the car? Are you leasing the car and it's going to get turned in? Or is this a car that you want to have for the next 10 years and then you want to pass it down to your high school, age kid? Because the way that those two cars are taken care of are completely different. And the conversation that you have with the client will allow you to understand. If they have that car leased, you do not need to tell them about the tiny little oil leak that is starting. But if they want to keep that car for 10 years and then pass it on to their kid, you do want to tell them, hey, probably on one of the next visits, this is something that we're going to need to take care of. So you can tailor everything that happens after that. And people will be blown away when you have those conversations, because they probably have never experienced it before. It's like when people come to us for marketing and they go through our kickoff call and that we ask them the questions that we ask them. Many times I've had people say, no one has ever asked me the questions that you're asking. They've worked with other marketing companies. The other companies did not care to find out what their goals were in their business and, who the exact type of client was they were trying to attract and all of these things. And you can do that same exact thing with the conversations that you're having with a client. How about this one? Are you asking for permission to do the DVI? Now, this one it's a little bit tough because every once in a while somebody might say no. And you don't want somebody to say no because you, as the auto repair shop, you have a responsibility to let somebody know when there is something that's going to be a mechanical failure on their car. And if they leave your shop and a ball joint breaks and they get in a wreck, you can say all day long that client told me not to inspect their car, and you could still be held liable for that. So you still should ask, though, in my opinion. And the reason why is that people have this idea that every time they go to the repair shop is going to find 10 other things that need to be done to their car. But if you ask them for permission to do the inspection, almost every time they're going to tell you yes. And it has given you permission now to present that estimate or the needed repairs to them. It just leads to a different experience. So you have to make the decision on that one as to whether or not you're going to ask for permission to do the DVI. I would say, you ask for permission to do the DVI, but you have a basic safety inspection that you do no matter what. How do you greet clients when they walk in the door? You should go back and listen to our episode that we did with Michael Doherty, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes. He was our service advisor at Peak Automotive. He actually now works for us here at Shop Marketing Pros now. But we did an episode with him, and Michael was the best at making people feel welcome as soon as they walked in the door, before they walked in the door, because he was there holding the door open before they made it to the door. What happens after the client leaves? Is someone following up with them a couple of days after the repair to ask them, hey, how was your experience? Everything going well with the car? Anything else that we can do for you? That's twofold. Number one, it's just a great client experience. But also, if you ever decide to do that, sit there with your appointment, with your schedule open, because you're going to make appointments for their other cars too. How's the team dressed? What do your service advisors look like? What are they wearing? Are they wearing t-shirts? My service advisors, and I didn't ask them to do this, Michael was the one that started it, started wearing like a full button-down dress shirt with a tie. And we had so many people that would comment on that. And, we had the uniforms from Cintas and all that. So our technicians always looked professional. But, that's not the case across the board with every shop. So how's the team dressed? There's so much to think about when it comes to making that first impression. Every little thing that you do just stacks upon the last to make a great first impression. And chances are, if you make a great first impression, as long as you fix the cars, you're going to have a client for a very long time. And if you continue to make great impression after impression after impression with that same person, you're going to have someone who's going to not only themselves be a client, but refer their friends and their family to you. So these first impressions are more important than you could ever imagine that they are. Kim, you got any final words?
No, just that we are going to turn this into an actual PDF checklist. It will be in the show notes, but will also live on our website on our free stuff page. So you can look there as well. And it will be an actual PDF. Print it out and give it to someone. I even think it would be cool to give it to your entire staff and have them do it. It's going to give buy-in to when you have to do cleanup in the shop or whatever. Sometimes just the awareness of something makes a huge impact when right now people just aren't paying attention. They're not thinking about that. But then when you bring attention to it and that awareness raises and they're like, wow, it really is not that great in here, then your team's going to want to contribute, hopefully, to improving that.
And make sure, if you get someone else to do that, which you should, make sure it's the right person. If this is a person that drives a trashed vehicle, if their house is not clean, if they live to a lower standard, that's not the person to ask to do it. Mm-hmm. And you want someone who will be honest with you too. Maybe someone who's a little bit snooty, a little bit uppity would be the one to ask that, because they're going to dig into the details, and you'll never have someone that, they expect little that will tell you, oh, you were too good. But you'll have someone who expects a lot that'll find the little small things that are a turnoff to them.
And look, if you're in a BNI group or you're active in the Chamber of Commerce or one of these other groups in your community, that is a great pool to draw from.
Yeah. So go find a secret shopper. They'll tell you the truth. It's their job. So, all right. We all thank you. I know this was a long episode. Thank you for sticking with us through it. We are one of a handful of podcasts on the Aftermarket Radio Network. I hope that you'll go listen to some of the others at aftermarketradionetwork.com. I want to thank our sponsors again, RepairPal and AppFueled. And I hope that you'll come listen again next week. Until then, go fill those bays.
You've been listening to the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast with Kim and Brian Walker. Follow the podcast on your favorite listening app. Find their emails in the show notes and visit them at shopmarketingpros.com. Let Kim and Brian know what you want discussed, because they're all about advancing the aftermarket.